Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry for the really short video, but I got a pretty interesting method for you guys, which I've been using to grind money in EPFC. So it's recommended to have at least two players. In this case, Hurrah has Advanced Protocols 3, and what he's doing is he's getting the access point, then he's traversing to the switch and getting the elevator hack, which just lets you go up really easily. In this run, he actually looped the cameras, but later we discovered it's not optimal, so yeah, just do kill switch on the switch after you do the elevator hack. So, in multiplayer, if you're not the main hacker, you want Intimidation 2, and in this case, we're even using Executioner, even though it's totally not necessary, just because if your aim is that bad, it guarantees you can one-shot. But obviously, Dead Silence is the most important specialization. Then, at some point, y'all need to rush in and interrogate Ryan. And the most important thing is not to shoot anyone near Ryan unless you're about to interrogate him. Once he starts running, there's no way to intimidate him, and that's why intimidation is so useful because you can intimidate other guards without immediately alerting Ryan. And sometimes you can even get away with knocking out Quincy, depending on the rotations. Once you get Ryan, one person needs to interrogate him, and the other players should hide the bodies so they're not visible from the outside, and take out any other guards that are left. The remaining objectives are pretty simple, but just remember that you need to unlock the phone with Ryan's body, and assuming you complete the objectives efficiently, the timer generally isn't a big issue. Now, I'm not necessarily saying this is the best grinding method, because even with good players, you will get bad RNG and fail sometimes. I found that sometimes one of the guards hears the gunshots despite being pretty far away, which sucks. But once you get the method down, you should be able to do it successfully at least half the time, and with how little time it takes, it's actually a pretty good grinding strat. You just have to accept that RNG will always be a factor, and if a run goes wrong, that's okay because it wasn't a very long run anyway, and you can always try again. One of the really annoying problems is this computer spot, and once you fail, it's just sort of over. Like, there's no point in trying to do loud. Wait, what? Okay, it might be possible, but especially if Ryan is dead, it's usually better to just reset than to take a chance at doing loud. You do you, I guess. Now, if you want to try this solo, your skill tree should look something like this. AP3 is the most important, but I'm also getting Dead Silence to make the gunshots quieter, as well as Undertaker 2 to carry bodies more easily, and Intimidation 2 to be able to intimidate guards. That's a lot of perks, so you have to be pretty close to max level to take advantage of everything. Anyway, here are some tips for solo. Since you don't have several players to spread out, I really don't recommend rushing to start. In fact, you can actually hostage people in this area and take them to spawn, which isn't completely safe, but it's safe at least like 80 to 90% of the time. And since the first two guards don't even count toward the timer, you're not really in a hurry. Once you have one or two guards down, I recommend moving to this area. And by the way, if you run into any files, it may be worth checking them, even though the plan is to interrogate Ryan anyway. Just because if you end up having to kill Ryan, you may still have a way to complete the mission. Granted, it will give less money, so you may not want to do that at all. Then you're just going to watch where Ryan is and wait for an opportunity where you can interrogate him while quickly dealing with Quincy and any other guards that may get in the way. At this point, you have to interrogate Ryan, hide any bodies, take out any remaining guards, of which there's 5, including Quincy, plus Ryan, who doesn't count, and just complete the objectives as quickly as you can. That's kind of it. In general, solo is slower just because playing it safe is recommended. So it's not as good for grinding, but it's still not bad, especially if you get good at it. And it's a nice way to get the personal style challenge if it's something you haven't completed. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.